to work on those relationships on the outside, to get to the end line and look for those cutback crosses.
Fans that receive.
Barrington is especially young player. Better Musa has been called the best
on our side. And then on the flip side is when we don't have the ball.
On the road. Underway in LA. Galaxy, Dallas. Big time stakes as we get into the dog days of summer in Major League Soccer. Fighting hard to try and win it back. Justin Hack, though, cleans it up. Wide for Painzel. Painzel loses out. Christian Campus in front towards Musa. Karsenkowski gets there. Then it's awkward off the foot of Johansson. Back to Dallas. Delgado loses out.
Won all three iterations of the tournament, so it should be a little bit difficult to pass that.
Here's Musa turning towards goal. Musa weaving his way around. Musa! Easy enough for Karsenkowski.
That was much too easy defensively from the LA Galaxy. A pass from the center back.
Delgado in swinger. Urhogide over the bar. Big Osaze Urhogide gets up for it, can't knock it down.
And we're live. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Afterburn Soccer Show. Actually, I'm Nathan. You can follow me at Afterburn Soccer on X, on Blue Sky. I'm flying solo for just a bit because I'm anticipating Collin and Jose joining me here shortly. But I wanted to start the show on time, have a nice diet, generic Diet Coke here to enjoy as we get going. And what you just saw in the opening, for those of you watching us, if you're listening to the audio, sorry about that, but watching the audio, I mean the video version of the show, you saw some exclusive video there as I was watching and covering North Texas Soccer Club at Ventura County SC, as Elon launched one of his SpaceX satellites. You could see the arc, the arc of the satellite, the rocket being launched into our atmosphere. It was a pretty surreal sight on a night when North Texas was absolutely demolished by Ventura County, 6-1. You know, if this is the one time I'm going to get to watch North Texas play in person, it was not a good night. It was not a fun night. Yeah, Nicholas Simmons got a goal for at least a moment to give sort of North Texas a semi kind of sense of confidence in the game. But otherwise, Ventura County just absolutely demolished North Texas. It was hardly a game. A very disappointing performance. Head coach John Gall was just clear that it was not enough from these youngsters, from this young group, and feels like the team has yet to figure out their sort of next step or what it's going to take for them to actually be a championship level team. I think that's maybe the way to put it. So anyway, I'm live. Welcome to the show, everybody. Expecting Jose to join me shortly, Collin to join me shortly, and we'll roll with it and include their voices. Let me do some adjustments here, but let's look back at this week that was for FC Dallas and for North Texas. Of course, I just mentioned North Texas Soccer Club traveled out to the West Coast, Ventura County. That's all the way up in Thousand Oaks, California, so north of LA. I live in Orange County, so that took me about over 2 hours to drive up there with traffic during sort of late afternoon rush hour. It was not fun. It was not joyful. A small but jubilant crowd watching the game. I give a shout out to them. I give a shout out to the Ventura County kind of staff, hyping up the youngsters in the crowd, giving out game balls, giving out coupons for the folks to listen to. Unfortunately, we were on the California Lutheran campus for that game, their stadium, their soccer stadium, and like the sun was beating down upon me. I probably got skin cancer from that experience. We'll see. Check back in about 30 years and see, kind of how I'm feeling about that. But nonetheless, North Texas came into this game. They dropped points at home last weekend. And I think they had to have all the motivation that they needed to try to get a result, and instead gave up 6 goals. And it wasn't particularly close. It wasn't particularly pleasant kind of game. I mean, sure, there were some moments for North Texas. They bounced the ball off of the goalposts a few times. Certainly, a few of those go in. We're talking about a different kind of match, a different kind of feeling, different kind of confidence level for this young team. But I just got to be real. Even though Nicholas Simmons got a goal, Simmons and Ricky Luis both were drafted as potential difference makers for FC Dallas. And with North Texas, they're not making enough difference. Like, they should be dominating at that level. Yes, it's not completely on them. They need service. They need guys who are providing support. And yes, you can argue that North Texas could improve in those areas. But when you have a guy like Edunis, when you have Marlon Luchin, Espina, you got some guys who have some quality there, including in the back line. You're left with question marks. North Texas just did not play their game on Friday night, and really, I think that result kind of paints the picture for them this year. I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs. There could be an opportunity for a late surge where this team could like put some things together and like push hard and get into that postseason picture. They got the talent to do so. That's clear. But when you got to go to Ventura County, you got to find a result. You got to find a result on the road. Now, good news, the next 4 games are at home. They win the next 4 games, they are squarely in the mix of postseason action, and we can see sort of, what the future might hold for them as things go. They can have sort of a grasp on their postseason future as things unfold, if they take advantage of these next 4 games at home in Mansfield. So a shout out to the North Texas media crew for meeting me there and giving me an opportunity. Shout out to Enzo Newman's family who are in attendance from Temecula, California. Beautiful family there to support their boy. And also Kimbrough's family, Javion Kimbrough's family. He only got sort of late substitute minutes. A little bit disappointing considering the situation they were in, but when 10 minutes left in the game and you only have, you have to come up from like a 6-1 deficit. Let's what are you going to do? How are you going to impress the team in that scenario? Turning our attention to FC Dallas. FC Dallas traveled out also as well to the West Coast. They were here against the LA Galaxy. I unfortunately could not be there. Here comes Jose. Here comes somebody. There he is. Hey, Jose. It's just you and I. I've been talking by myself for a bit here. Welcome to the show, Jose.
Sneaking in a workout.
All right, good for you. I talked to North Texas already, the disappointment of that loss in Ventura County. By the way, Ventura County had this kid named Preston, a left winger who was absolutely on another level. I mean, if North Texas, if they want to, go out and bring the guy in. I mean, why not? Why not throw some money at him? I mean, the kid is a talent, and North Texas had no answer to that. But 6-1 a loss. But FC Dallas, meanwhile, also travels out to the West Coast, take on the Galaxy. A 0-0 draw at the Galaxy. We predicted last week a win. We were confident about this team and confident about kind of the absences that the Galaxy were experiencing, the ups and downs. Yep. And we acknowledged, though, I remember, Jose, that it could be a draw. It could end up in a draw. But I will admit, I'm really disappointed by this result. I'm curious how you are feeling as FC Dallas draws the Galaxy 0-0 in LA.
Well, of course, you have to be disappointed. I certainly expected better. But they look pretty tired there by after around the halftime mark, and it's just a reminder of how brutal those West Coast trips can be. Uh, that's just a reality. You're on the road. You're traveling. We hope for better, and honestly, the team looked like it was happy to get a draw. That's
Especially
really what it
late,
looked like.
right? Especially late. Like the substitution substitutions were really for like we're fine with a draw tonight.
I think the substitutions were offensive minded in nature, but you they didn't really bring offer anything to the table that was already on the field. In all honesty, Julio, my goodness, I will say two good things. Of course, Sorrell was sensational. I mean, you're talking about somebody who's trying to win the job. Well, he made his case, and I was actually impressed with what I saw from Halstead. Is that how you say his name? His last name?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, he was basically, you know, we're told he's a six, and some people claim he's an eight, but he was out there. He did a solid defensive job. He came out there and he was 1-on-1 with some of Galaxy's best attackers and held his own. So just for what little I saw of him, he looked
He was
rock solid.
feisty,
And,
right?
and he looked feisty, yes, but he looks like the guy you bring in to help you secure that draw. I mean,
Sure,
that's
sure.
with this huge road trip that they have ongoing. You're gonna need a guy like that. You're gonna need to eke out a point here and there on the road and just hang in there. Fortunately, everybody around FC Dallas is simply also stinking it up. So, so FC Dallas hasn't really been punished
Mm-hmm.
for their recent performances.
Good point.
That's not gonna last forever. So they need to find that next gear because they seem to be stuck, in second or third gear, and they got to have that extra gear to bring home the 3 points on the road. And I have faith. I think they'll find a way, but draws and close losses could really be the most likely reality, and they just need a win here and there they don't have to get all the points, but you want them to stay in that playoff spot. And by playoff spot, I mean no lower than seventh.
Right, right. I mean, that's what's kind of frustrating about watching this team is because we know their talent, we know the moments and the sequences where they have shown their ability to be a contender. And so we anticipated that. I think fans anticipated that FC Dallas would look like a contender. Think about the way they played against Portland, the Timbers in the first half, especially. Like that game. FC Dallas, they were passing, they were jubilant in attack. I love to use words I don't normally use in soccer, but like jubilant, joyful. I don't know, confident. They looked like they had a game plan and against the Galaxy. And look, soccer is not a one-sided match. Like it's FC Dallas may have had a game plan, and then the Galaxy also can have their game plan. And it looks like the Galaxy were trying to match up well and make life miserable for Dallas. So give credit to the Galaxy, who really are not that far below FC Dallas. I mentioned on my article like 5 points separating the two teams, right? So like the idea that we should come in and crush them 10-0, that's out there. You
It's
know,
1-0 is not asking for much, but
right.
look, you got to look at it from the Galaxy's point of view. They're disappointed. They thought there was 3 points to be had there. We view them as weak. They view us as weak.
Sure.
So, Dallas is seen more of a. They're not seen as a contender. They're not seen as a top team in the West. So when they roll into town, you're like, hey, this is a middle of the table team. On the road, we should be able to get 3 points against these guys. And of course, the Galaxy did have a lot of injuries, but some of their absences were planned, so they were prepared. They weren't sudden. So I am disappointed that it's not a win. The win was there for us, but the formation should have clued us in that they were going to play a drawish match. You had nobody with the capability to feed Musa. You put the Gato over at right mid, you,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't bring in Valiente, and Moreno didn't come until late, which if you were going to get for 3 points, Moreno should have been the spark for that, but he hasn't really delivered so far. And I think if you're going for 3 points on the road, I expect to see Valiente out there. I expect to see Moreno out there. And their absence, I think, clues you in as to who's going to start, in the next match, here in midweek. So I think that had to be that. You got to remember that Quill will play his players. He'll hint as to who's resting for the next game, and see Moreno and Valiente rested, and of course Johansson resting. That clues you in that they'll probably be featured in the next match. We've seen him do this before when he's had a midweek game where we're like, why did he take that guy out? Why did he start this guy?
Right.
Because Quill is thinking, he could have been thinking, we're just going to play a defensive point for a point. That's what it felt like, and I think the idea was just try to win it late, but there really was no bite in the attack brought in by the subs. This also, though, makes me think that Dallas will take the Leagues Cup a lot more seriously than we expect, and I think the game plan is to go out there and at least try to win the first one and then take it from there, because they do have a brutal schedule. And so we're thinking, some of us are thinking, it seemed to me like this was kind of like I said, just like in MLS, when he's got more than 2 games in a week, he's done like this sort of thing. And like I said, I'm surprised, but at the end of the day, I feel like the game plan was to simply get a draw, and I think that's disappointing for us fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It's just difficult because something I talk about on the blog a lot is that away points are beautiful things. Like, away points, never take for granted, because they can be very hard to come by. So, away draw at the Galaxy, even if the Galaxy are not as strong as they have been in the past, it's never the end of the world. Don't ever panic. Yeah, there probably were more points on the cards that day, but in the end, they didn't drop points. They gained something on the road. There's a lot of road games ahead. Roll with it. Build from it. Take Jonathan Sarah, their goalkeeper, stepping in with Daniel out now for like 2 months. Hey, the guy looks like a legit number 1 keeper. Hey, there's positives. A clean sheet on the road is never a terrible thing. And yet, FC Dallas fans, we have high expectations. We want our team to go out. We want Musa to go out, get a hat trick.
We also got to give kudos to our backline. I mean, Nolan Norris was great out there, and Moore was coming on with some late crunching tackles.
Yeah.
Urugide was everywhere. So, and I'm just saying, you have to, say our back three were sensational, because the Galaxy simply had the better chances. If those 3 guys are not on top of their game, Dallas walks out of there with a loss. So I just want to say shout out to our defensive players that were out there. They really did play their heart out, and it's just too bad that we just couldn't get anything going on offense.
Yep. Quill's trying. He's trying to get the right. But one of the question marks that did come out from the chatter about this team is why not Sarver? Why not Sarver in a moment like this where, yeah, I mean, Sarver, we know he is still developing. He's not going to solve all your problems, but like, hey, let the kid run. Let him run, create chaos. We didn't even see him for a minute, so
No,
we
I
saw
think
some
that
other
clues
guys.
you. I think that
Yeah,
clues you to the fact that they were going for the point on the road,
yeah,
because
right.
you're
Anderson,
like,
Julio, some guys that they're maybe looking to get value out of, maybe just looking to get going. Didn't get going. I mean, it's
frustrating is the word. You feel like
frustrating. Yeah, sure. I mean, Jose, returning to the North Texas game, I opened the show by talking about being there. It was a beautiful evening. I mean, I was in the sun. The worst thing about Southern California and following sports, whether you're talking about high school football or like soccer, is when you're on the home side of a stadium and you're right in the setting sun and like you forgot to bring sunblock. So hopefully I will not get skin cancer from these experiences. But on the other hand, once that sun sets, it's a gorgeous night. There's nothing quite like it, and the fact that North Texas was playing against this backdrop where they were getting crushed 6-1 ultimately. But meanwhile, Elon Musk is launching a SpaceX rocket over the horizon. It's pretty surreal and gorgeous, a gorgeous experience. I mean, Coach Gall kind of laughed about it when I told him. I said, "Hey, SpaceX launched a rocket while you were playing." He said, "Maybe that's why they were so bad at defending." Our
they're
guys were like,
staring up at the
our guys
rockets.
were looking up. But it just highlights for me. I asked this in one of our like group chats, but like, at what point does a young group of guys, Gall has been with this team a few years now, do they tune out a coach and just need a change of expectation, a change of communication to kind of grow professionally? Are you concerned about that at all, or is this just, hey, let's accept that North Texas, they're a young team, there's a lot of pieces here, they're not quite gelling, and that's just, excuse me, who they are?
Yeah, I honestly, that's what it is. It's young players not stepping up to the challenge that's before them, and simply not performing at the level that they're required to. It's we're seeing it over and over this season. I want to see how their Mansfield run goes before I start panicking. They got to win and they got to draw, but really they need to string wins at home. That's the only way they're going to get that confidence. And I think that's what we're looking for. Is it's a team that's playing, but they're not playing with any confidence. They're not playing with that swagger we've seen in the past from North Texas teams. That's missing. And I'm hoping that a nice run of wins at home will give them that, give them some semblance of that, because that's what's missing right now. And it, the way they're playing, I'm not. While it's shocking that they lost 6-1, a young team that folds on the road can be rolled up really fast, and that's just the reality of any professional league. And it's something that hopefully we've seen for the last time this season, but probably
Yeah.
not.
It's hard. It's just really hard. Such a young side, and a guy like Lucas Martinez making his debut. Um, so many young pieces. It's just hard to like. If there is a downside, I mean, and I highlighted this at the opening of the show, is like Nicholas Simmons, Ricky Luis, um, Alvaro Augusto. These are guys who have flirted with the first team, or and and not coming through, not dominating at this level. So it makes me wonder. It just makes me wonder about their future. But that's why you have a North Texas. You take a flyer on guys, you give them a chance to show what they're capable of, and it doesn't always work out despite their physical attributes, their supposed potential. Sometimes it's just professional sports is a mystery.
Eh,
It's hard.
Well, you got to remember that our two draft picks that are down there with North Texas, they're really young. I mean, one was a freshman, one was a sophomore, and sometimes it can be a really hard transition to becoming a professional. Going from college to professional can be really a hard shock for some young players, and it may simply be the case they flashed it here and there. They flashed what they can do, but we haven't seen it consistently. We haven't seen them string great performances together. And I think maybe, like I said, if they get a little swagger playing in Mansfield, maybe we'll start to see those performances get strung together. But as of right now, I'm thinking that they're just a year away. You know, it, clearly they have a ton of potential. Clearly they've shown that they're very, men playing amongst children, but you're just not seeing any consistency whatsoever. And I would blame it on that. I blame it on that transition from college to pros. It can be rough.
It can be rough. I mean, we want it to be a fairy tale. We want it to be a computer game where it's like, oh, I got this guy with high talent, and it just is a trajectory, a rocket ship like that SpaceX rocket. But it's not always like that. It takes bumps. I mean, look at Edwin Cerrillo. This is a kid that came through FC Dallas, that was a very useful player for FC Dallas, but also hit a point, I think, where it was likely he needed to grow professionally. So he was traded to the Galaxy. He ended up becoming a key part of their championship winning side. Credit to him. Now he's with Club America. I mean, sometimes you got to take a step to the side as a professional to grow. Sometimes you got to take a step back to take the next step. And as much as we want FC Dallas to be that sort of that rocket ship into the stratosphere, life is not always like that. Life, you need to have setbacks to grow. And so it's the tricky thing. It's a tricky thing for this North Texas project as a whole, that you want these kids to just take off and just dominate. But sometimes they don't dominate unless they fail,
Well, I mean, I think I think the Dallas is selling some of these guys, before they even, hit their stride. We look at how many players we've sold that if we had kept half of them, this team would be phenomenal. Phenomenal. Uh, you got what? Tessman, Pepe. You got bunch of Acosta. You got so many players from that time that Dallas has simply sold after only a year or two with the senior team, and it's still though. I'm happy to see Cerrillo go to Liga MX. Far fence in Liga MX. I think we got a couple other guys. It's good to get FC Dallas players into Liga MX and show, hey, we are a quality academy. We are a quality organization. Look at how many former players are in MLS, and now you're starting to send them to Liga MX, and I think you're going to see that more and more. I mean, not every player that they sell ends up going to Europe. That's not the level for everybody.
Right.
But
and it takes some time. It takes some time for some guys to find their level.
But end up with a team like Club America, one of the best teams in North America. That's a nice little consolation prize.
Yeah. We this week ahead, we're really shifting gears for FC Dallas. We're looking ahead to some Leagues Cup action on the 5th, on the 8th, on the 12th. It's not exactly an easy schedule. It is a good experience for FC Dallas. I mean, this is a chance for a mix of guys to gain a litmus test against, I think, a variety of players from other skill levels. I mean, how much of this is a priority this week for FC Dallas? What do you think, Jose?
I think the priority is to get people that are struggling minutes. You're talking about Julio. You're talking about Moreno, Johansson. You're talking about Sarver. You're talking about some of the guys that deserve more minutes, getting minutes, and some of the guys that you kind of want to get in gear. Benjamin could see minutes, stuff like that. that's what I expect to see. I expect to see. I'm kind of curious to see some of the North Texas guys. There's like 6 or 7 of them on the roster.
Could
I'm
get
kind of
some
curious to
minutes,
see if
right?
they get any minutes.
Yeah.
But that's just it. Throw them out there, see how they do. We're all assuming that FCD is going to get rolled by these 3 teams, but we honestly don't know how seriously these teams are going to take. Querétaro just had a drag down, beat down match with Tigres and won on a PK in the added time, and it was brutal. It was a brutal physical match. The they were letting him play, and Tigres took full advantage of that. Believe you me, it was a physical match, and I'm kind of curious to see if how seriously they're going to take it. Are they going to roll out an A team? I doubt it. Are they going to roll out an A minus team, or are they going to just roll out a B team? We don't know. We just assume that everybody's going to take Leagues Cup seriously, but that's not the case. So, is there potential that Querétaro rolls this team? Sure, but I don't think so. I think Querétaro plays a. I mean, I'm no expert. I've only seen him play once or twice, and to me, they play in a very similar style to what FC Dallas does. They play good defense. They hit you on the counter. They got fast, pacey wings, good on set pieces, and they're fighters. They got a bunch of dogs on that team, so it's going to be a dog fight. It's what it's going to be, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to see if Querétaro shows FC Dallas the respect they showed Tigres, because Tigres, they were, low block, mid block. But we've seen teams from Mexico come out and do a high press in previous Leagues Cup against FC Dallas, and FC Dallas will eat those teams up. So that's what I'm curious to see. How strong of a teams they run into, and are these teams going to say, oh, my goodness, they got Musa, they got a dangerous attack, let's stay back on defense? Or are they going to say, wow, these guys are, bums, we're just going to press them high, run a high lie against them and, press them all the way back to Texas? That's what I'm curious about.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be a good game. I would not be surprised if it's a draw. A combative draw. I'm not talking like we had a 0-0 draw. I'm talking about like a 2-2 draw or a 3-3 draw. I would not be shocked about that. And I'd expect a couple of set pieces goals from both teams. And it'll come down to who's fresher, who takes the game more seriously down the stretch. It could also be lost in the first half if both teams, if one team doesn't take it seriously and they get rolled in the first half. So it could be. I think you could see that. You could see both teams also, take it easy in the first half, play defensively, and then come out barnstorm. So I'm curious. We don't know. I think it's going to be I think you're going to be watching the mirror, in all honesty. I think you're going to see 2 teams that are going to be played very similar. And like I said, I'm calling it a dogfight right now. It should be fun.
All right. There's your prediction. It's a dogfight. I mean, and I hope we see that too. I hope we see FC Dallas take this opportunity to elevate their sort of status, and see what this Leagues Cup offers them. A chance for guys to get minutes, a chance for guys getting fit, get form, but also to show what they're capable of. It'll be, about 3 matches before the next, Major League Soccer match for FC Dallas. So it's a chance for them also maybe to take a breather.
It's
collect
a brutal
themselves.
schedule, though. It's a brutal schedule, though. Isn't it like 7 games in 21 days? Something like that. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, if they're going to take a game seriously, it might be this one. And then, depending on the outcome, if they lose, then they may decide not to take the rest of them seriously. So it should be interesting.
Well, Jose, I appreciate you joining us. I need to cut the show a little bit short. Getting pulled away here in a minute, but I appreciate you jumping on, offering your thoughts, because I think Leagues Cup is really our focus for the next week and a half. See how FC Dallas covers things. I think it is a priority. I think FC Dallas wants to advance their sense of reputation in North America. It only boosts their chances. But I need to leave the show here. Appreciate you, Jose.
Thanks a lot, Nathan.
We're hoping to see Collin tonight. We didn't see him, but hey, next time we'll see. We get him on. All right, good. Appreciate everybody. Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.
Let's go FC Dallas.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. Getting called away.